And you're welcome. It's time to take a look at the dailies and what headlines you'd be meeting if you happen to pick a copy up today. I'm joined by Mary, Bashra, Alimi, all three of them here with me.
Hi.
It's three of you, isn't it?
Seriously?
All right, let's get serious now, Mary. Let's do the papers, shall we? Let's start with the Guardian newspaper, and I'll be picking that one. Very interesting headlines here. Vastity, sad tales of underfunded, understaffed medical centers. I'm going to come back to that one. More on the Guardian. NSARS activists lament non-implementation of pro-panel recommendations and review Nigeria's relations with Israel, Sharia Council tells Tinubu. Tinubu revokes Imam's nomination as firm chairman, appoints CEOs for parastatals. No respite for Nigerians as petrol scarcity bites harder in Abuja.
Did you say the Guardian newspaper?
Yes, I did say the Guardian newspaper. Mary.
I'm not seeing these things you're mentioning in the Guardian newspaper.
Apparently, I have been taking the wrong one. So I'm going to go to the actual Guardian newspaper. Now, if you would help me with that one, I think I got the wrong date.
Yeah, I think you got the wrong date.
Thank you
because
very much.
Today has at 1,200 naira per dollar, 985 naira per litre. Fuel spike squeezes air travel pricing. Here we also have Wike clarifies meeting with Israel envoy as Pandef INC knock Gumi. And for hashtag NSAS, Falano asks minister to review plan on 500 million naira fine for convicts. We think palliatives step up productive engagement. Supreme Court justices down by one as Musa Datijo bows out. Here we also have coalition resorts to protests lawsuit to stop purchase of 57 billion naira SUVs for lawmakers. Terrorist attack customs house, kill officer in Yobe. Here we also have Atiku's aide tackles Tinubu over forgery allegation. All of these stories and more you can catch in the Guardian newspaper. And I would say the SUVs is the big one right now.
I had a conversation with Mr. Francis, our producer here on the breakfast show here. And we were talking about the food inflation as against these vehicles being purchased.
Yeah.
There was a conversation that I was privy to where someone said that the amounts that are being used for these facilities, the SUVs and all, are just a drop when compared to what it takes to actually make Nigeria better. These are facilities that might be absolutely necessary. You can't expect government officials to be in cars that are not perhaps maybe adequate, let me put it that way. Some of them for security reasons. So these are necessities that the government has to purchase to be able to run Nigeria.
So
like
I'm actually
running Nigeria from a derelict building. You can't have that.
I'm looking at it from a different angle.
Okay, let's hear it.
My angle has to do with the fact that we've been talking about buy Naira to grow Naira. There are local companies that are producing vehicles now. There's no problem with buying vehicles. We know these government officials need vehicles. Why do you not give the specifications to those local companies and see to getting the vehicles from them? Many of them are covered by 5 years, insurance to an extent, in the sense that you get repairs for 5 years and all of those servicing and all. So why can't we have several of them locally?
That is a very long conversation. And I'll tell you something. It's when you buy a Nigerian vehicle assembled here in Nigeria, at the end of the day, you're actually still buying a vehicle from outside because of the duties that you pay for these parts.
Yes, but
that's
at the
one.
end of the
Quality
day, you're paying
is another one. Why not? What happened to PAN? What happened to Volkswagen here in Nigeria? PAN was in Kaduna. All of that is all gone.
Well, if you had these Naira.
We need to go to the next paper. I'm very passionate about that topic, and I think you and I have to have that conversation after.
We should.
Moving on now, let's see what we have. The Nation newspaper for today. I'm getting this one right here.
Stop it.
Edu Tinubu's homegrown plan, good to review economy. There's no likelihood of Nigeria seeking international assistance on debt restructuring. At the top of the nation, fake NADECO plus Tinubu campaign. Anti-Tinubu campaign, and Lagos halts illegal land reclamation in Ikoyi and Lekki. Why we can't return to site by federal road contractors, and 5 die, many injured in Kwara petrol truck accidents. Have you been seeing the instances of the demolition going on, especially in Lekki?
Well,
how do you feel about it? Could there have been any considerations given to these individuals that are at the receiving end?
So the misfortune of such situations is, no matter how many times you try to seek some kind of compensation, the likelihood of you getting is very low because of the location of your building. There are certain buildings that weren't initially mapped out for certain government projects. When such buildings are affected, what the government does is they pay you off, they compensate you for it. But in a situation where your building is located according to the government on a drainage or in certain places that were never even mapped out
It's your fault for not following due
it's
process.
unfortunate. It's because you got the permits, yes, from the government, because government officers obviously may have issued that. But at the end of the day, it's still not on.
So if I pay for it, what about the government officials who are responsible for
If
the
you can
entire
track
process?
them down, then you sue them and see if you can get your money back.
So there's a bit of
Unfortunately,
hope.
most times you cannot.
It's a very long process.
Very, very.
What headlines do you have from what newspaper?
All right, so I have the Daily Times newspaper here, and it says Atiku Obi, APM versus Tinubu at Supreme Court. Atiku Obi will not be declared president today, lawyers tell Nigerians. Neither will Tinubu be sacked today. Supreme Court will first run normal processes, they say. Let verdict help, not end democracy. That's coming from Barrister Muagwa. Expectations high nationwide. Here we also have Akpabio may be interim president if. Now that story you might want to catch up on. Now Wike reacts to Gumi others. Only president determines relationship with countries. Nigeria Customs repels attack on facility. FBI files on Tinubu will cause Nigeria great embarrassment. Down here we have appoint your justice information commissioners now if there's nothing to hide. NBA others tell Oborewo. Still on the Daily Times newspaper, we have crisis rocks Air Transport Employees Union over doctored constitution. And that's according to an investigation. All of these stories you can catch up on the Daily Times newspaper today.
Monday, October 23rd. I always have to start with the date now.
Oh, come on.
The Punch newspaper,
Okay.
3-year blueprint. FG plans 26 trillion naira borrowing, 29 trillion naira for debt servicing. Debt servicing to exceed capital budget spending by 7.69 trillion naira amid slow economy. High debt servicing costs creating potential fiscal risk. Government laments. At the top for the Punch, Naira slumps further. Exchanges at 1,190 naira per dollar. It was only last year, at this time, it was somewhere around 600. Now, this is almost twice that price. Yeah. Fuel hits 685 naira per litre in the north, and in some cases, even here in Lagos. Assassination, police probe alleged attempt on Bello, that's in Kogi State. And a look at the photo story here shows 5 die, 15 injured in Lagos-Ibadan highway crash. Very sad situation there. APC PDP hopeful as Supreme Court battle starts today. And friends, Mourn Nigerian medical student killed in the Philippines. That made rounds on social media and it was a very sad story, that one. Israeli Hamas, Biden Pope, protesters want a ceasefire. Now, the situation of the accident on the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway was a very tragic one from over the weekend. And that wasn't the only instance from last week. There were at least 2 instances that included tanks.
Yeah.
Now, this is the point I'm trying to make. It was a very worrying sight to see that hundreds of Nigerians still risked their lives to actually fetch from the pouring tanker petrol, or was it diesel now, even as cars were going by. It was also very worrying to see that there was a member of what might have been the fire service or I don't know which of the Lagos State services that was there as well and could do absolutely nothing to help the situation, also risking his life by being in the same vicinity as cars with hot engines and exhausts were going by this tanker.
Which could easily start a fire.
It could easily ignite it. I don't know how much awareness we need to make for Nigerians to know that it takes just a second, then it's all over. That keg of 15,000 naira you're trying to fetch.
It still takes us back to the communication issue we had earlier during the What's Up and About. No matter how many times awareness is created on certain subjects, many still believe, oh, please, this is a chance. I will get away with it. After all, if something happens, there are some people that will get affected, some people will not. I will be one of those that will not. And then they add it to a prayer and all. So that is usually the case. But, well, I have the Tribune here, I believe. Yes, I want to be sure that it's today's newspaper. Okay, yes, it is. Exchange rate. Industries battle for survival as Nigerians suffer losses. Manufacturers pay up to 30 different taxes, levies annually. That's coming from the Manufacturers Association of Nigeria, lamenting on that. Petrol pump price hit 630 naira per litre at Abuja. More filling stations shut down. Here we see contractors oppose federal government order to return to site without payment review. How gunmen dressed in military uniforms attacked Bello's convoy. Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Ogun gives traders at Kara other road setbacks 21 days to quit. Appeal court sacks Senate minority leader, orders return. Customs lose officer as Boko Haram attacks Yobe facility. National Assembly sued over purchase of 360 SUVs valued at 57.6 billion naira. There might be a refund at this rate. Atiku's team displays documents signed on Saturday by Lagos court apart from his affidavit. Finally, we have Odua Foundation to launch defined project to boost education in Southwest. All of these stories and more you can catch in the Nigerian Tribune. I think the highlight for me is the exchange rates because most people focus on the black market. As of now, the black market is slowly inching towards 1,200 naira. Interestingly, in banks, it's much lesser. It's as low as less than 800 naira per dollar.
Access,
but how many people
however,
exactly can access it? And then even when you can, like somebody tweeted about, you know, choosing to change his dollars in the bank instead of from the black market. And many people attacked him.
Their limits.
Because they were like, why will you take your money to the bank? It's still part of communication. Many people don't seem to realize how much doing this is hurting the economy.
Very true.
Because when you change your money not from the banks are not having access to these dollars that are in need. So it's a vicious circle. It's complicated. At the same time, Nigerians are aiding the problems.
So maybe the government's policies have to change from being punitive to being informative.
Well,
perhaps.
The government informs, but at the same time,
how much?
Those who actually enforce the punishments are more vocal. I think that's where the problem is.
Perhaps. Well, that's our bit here for the dailies. You want to pick out any of these, perhaps. Maybe if you want to have an opinion you want to share with us, use the hashtag WakeUpNigeria on TVC. Would love to hear from you. We'll be back after a break. To stay tuned. It's still Positive Monday for you here on Wake Up Nigeria.